Hey YouTube, what's up? Welcome to a new video. Recently, I watched a video by Jaclyn Hill, who is a huge beauty influencer here on YouTube. I can't remember the title of the video, but the theme of the video was makeup for dry skin because she had recently moved from Florida to Los Angeles and she was experiencing really dry skin. And I was pretty shocked, to be honest, at some of the tips that she was giving people. She was talking about literally like baking her entire face in powder. She was saying like only use one layer of powder instead of multiple layers of powder, and it's like I can't even imagine baking my face when my skin is like a little bit dry, no less like feeling very, very dry. So I thought I would do my own video. A lot of my knowledge about how to do makeup for dry skin and how to make skin look glowy comes from the training that I got at Charlotte Tilbury. Charlotte's really all about really hydrated, glowing looking skin. She believes the more hydrated your skin looks, the more youthful you look. Everything when it comes to complexion at Charlotte Tilbury is designed to give that really beautiful glow to the skin. And then since I started my freelance business, I have come up with a few little other tips and tricks that I thought I would share with you today as well. So if you have dry skin, like I suddenly do, this is new to me. I typically have oily skin, and over the past few years it's becoming less and less oily. We're transitioning into winter now here in Canada, and the last 2 weeks my skin has been the driest it's ever been. So I'm gonna show you how I'm able to take care of my skin and do my makeup so that it doesn't look dry and cakey. Instead it looks glowy and hydrated and lit from within. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it so that more people can see it too, and let's get into it. All right, so really quickly before we get into the makeup, I'm gonna talk a little bit about skincare. The most important part to helping your skin look and feel hydrated is your skincare routine. So the number one thing that I would recommend that I feel like most people don't do is exfoliate. When you exfoliate your skin, you remove the top layer of dead, dry skin, and when you go in with your hydrating skincare products after you exfoliate, they're able to penetrate deeper into the skin and have a better effect in terms of hydrating your skin from within. There's two different kinds of exfoliators. There are physical exfoliators and chemical exfoliators. I always recommend a chemical exfoliator because physical exfoliators have little tiny microbeads in them and they can be pretty harsh on the skin. A chemical exfoliator is going to use different kinds of cosmetic grade chemicals, obviously, that break down that dead skin, eat it all up, leaves the skin looking really nice and fresh and glowy when you remove it. My favorite exfoliator, the one that changed my exfoliating life, you literally notice the difference after one use, is the Amore Pacific Treatment Enzyme Peel. It comes out as a powder. When you add water to it, it turns into a foam. I like to massage it into my skin in the shower, then I'll put conditioner in my hair, then I'll shave my legs, and then I'll go ahead and rinse the exfoliator off my face as I'm rinsing out my conditioner from my hair. The reason I do this is because I like to give the exfoliator time to do its job. If you're just applying the exfoliator on your skin and then rinsing it right away, obviously it's going to help, but it's not gonna have as good of an effect as possible. I highly recommend it. Literally, your skin is glowing and bright after just one use. After exfoliator in the morning, you're gonna wanna go in with any other skincare products that you use, whether that be essences, lotions, serums, and then the most important part is to lock that all in with a hydrating moisturizer. If you've been watching my videos, you already know the number one moisturizer that I have found to hydrate my skin is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. This moisturizer plumps your skin full of moisture that lasts throughout the day. It doesn't immediately absorb into the skin and then leave the skin feeling dry 5 minutes later. It keeps the skin actually feeling plump and hydrated. It gives a glow to the skin. It's gonna act as a primer as well for the foundation that you're gonna put on top and just make it go on really smooth. Obviously, you don't have to buy this moisturizer, but I would say invest in your skincare. And I'm not saying you need to go out and spend $600 on a La Mer cream, but when you're shopping for your skincare products, make sure you're reading through reviews before you purchase of people who have tried out the product before. Look for products that specifically say that they're hydrating, that they're moisturizing, that they're specifically designed for dry skin. When you're reading through those reviews, see what people are saying. If they're saying that it's working for them, it's not enough for them, and then you can make your decision on the moisturizer based on that. The other thing is at night, you're gonna wanna go in with something even heavier. So whether that be really nice and thick moisturizer like the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Night Cream. It has more of a tacky consistency. It's designed to sit on top of the skin and sink in slowly as you're sleeping and your skin is regenerating. I've never been able to use that moisturizer before. I've always found it too heavy, but I've been using it the past couple of weeks and it really just absorbs into my skin and leaves it feeling nice and plump when I wake up in the morning. I also really like to use just straight up rosehip oil. This bottle is so grimy, but it lasts forever. I bought this on Amazon for just a few dollars. After I cleanse my skin and add any serums, I'll just go ahead and do a dropper full of this all over my face before I go to bed, and it really helps make the skin really nice and soft. Another thing that's really great are sleeping masks. So a sleeping mask is a mask that you put on before you go to bed, and then similar to the Magic Cream, it sort of sits on top of the skin and sinks in really slowly. They're packed full of hydration. The reason that you would use them at night is because they do leave that layer of moisturizer on top of your skin. This one from Grown Alchemist is really nice. This is an all-natural brand. This is super hydrating. I really love the way this smells and feels on my skin. It's very calming. Lots of different brands do sleeping masks. Korean skincare is a great place to look for a sleeping mask, whether that be Sulwhasoo, Amore Pacific, Innisfree. Any Korean skincare brand is gonna do a really nice sleeping mask. Regular masks are good too, whether they're sheet masks or wash off masks that you're putting on your skin just to add a little bit of extra moisture before you rinse it off. So skincare is super important to your routine when it comes to dry skin and making your makeup look really glowy and fresh. All right, now that we got that out of the way, we're gonna go ahead with the makeup. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, and when I say a little bit, I do not mean a little bit. So I'm gonna take a good amount of Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream and I'm gonna massage it into my skin, focusing it on the areas where I'm the driest. So for me right now, that's my chin and my nose. If you have a moisturizer that you don't feel like gives enough hydration to your skin, you can always go in with a hydrating primer on top of that before you put on your foundation. So if you're putting on your moisturizer and then you're going in with your foundation and you're still feeling like your skin is looking dry, try a hydrating primer. There's lots of different kinds of primers. They're all made for different types of skin. There are silicone-based primers, which are for smoothing the skin. If you have open pores, they fill those pores so that when you put foundation over top, it goes on really smoothly. There are mattifying primers for people who have oily skin, primers that are meant to make your makeup last really long. If you have dry skin and you're wanting to make your makeup look really nice and hydrated, then you want to go in with a hydrating primer. Smashbox and Makeup Forever are both brands that do really nice hydrating primers, but most brands do have a hydrating primer in their lineup. I like to use Magic Cream as my primer. I feel like that does enough for me, so I'm just going to use Magic Cream for my moisturizer and my primer today. When it comes to choosing a foundation, you're gonna wanna look for a foundation that leaves a dewy finish and is lightweight on the skin. My favorite foundation for dry skin is the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder Foundation. This foundation has hyaluronic acid built into it. Hyaluronic acid pulls moisture from the air and deposits it in your skin. So this is gonna help keep your makeup hydrated throughout the day so that it's not going to cling to any dry patches or start to settle into any fine lines and look really cracked and dry on your skin as the day goes on. Another one that I really like is this one from Lancome. This is the Tint Miracle. This is a really beautiful lightweight hydrating foundation that gives a really beautiful glow to the skin. I am never this pale anymore, so I haven't gotten to use this foundation in ages, but I do really love it. It's great. Tons of brands do hydrating foundations. So if you're looking for a new foundation to purchase for the upcoming dry weather, make sure you're doing your research. Go into Sephora and ask someone for their favorite hydrating foundation. I know Fenty just came out with one. I haven't tried that one yet. Get a sample, see how you like it before you buy the product. If you do not want to go out and buy a new foundation, but you feel like your foundation is too matte, then I'm gonna show you a little trick for that as well. So you have an expensive foundation at home that you're finding too matte for your skin as the weather is starting to change and you don't want to go out and buy a new foundation. What are you gonna do? You're gonna want to alter that foundation so that it's gonna work for your dry skin. Today I'm gonna be using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Foundation. This is a full coverage foundation with a soft matte finish. When I first started using this foundation, I was feeling like it was looking way too dry on my skin. So in order to manipulate the foundation to make it work for me, I have been mixing it with another product. So the product I'm gonna mix it with today is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This is a complexion booster. So this product gives the skin a really beautiful glow without having any glitter in it. It just sort of catches the light and makes the skin look really wet and fresh. So what I'm gonna do is take a pump of my matte foundation, some of the Flawless Filter, and I'm gonna mix the two products together before I apply the foundation to my skin. So this is gonna help sheer it out and give it that little bit of extra moisture as well. don't have Hollywood Flawless Filter, then all you wanna do is take a little bit of your moisturizer, whatever moisturizer you used on your skin, and mix it in with your foundation, and that's gonna have the same effect. It's gonna help to sheer out the foundation, and it's gonna make it more glowy and luminous. You can also take a few drops of oil and mix it in there, whether that be rosehip oil or a beauty oil that you have at home already. And then the third tip for actually applying the foundation is I would recommend using a damp beauty sponge. When you use a beauty sponge, you should be using it damp. And so when you're applying the foundation to the skin, it's going to add a little bit of the moisture from the sponge in with the foundation into your skin. If you're prepping your skin with a product that has hyaluronic acid in it, the moisture from the beauty blender or the beauty sponge that you're using will be pulled into the skin to add further hydration. The other thing about having dry skin is if you have dry skin sitting on top of your face and you're buffing it in with a brush, a lot of time that dry skin can ball up and you get little flakes at the bottom of your jaw that you're wiping away. When you use a beauty blender, it's pressing the product in instead of buffing it, which is not gonna pick up as much of that dead skin. So I'm gonna take this foundation and start pressing it into my skin. As soon as I noticed that my skin was feeling so much more dry than usual, I made sure that I was really on it with my skincare. Sometimes because I have more oily skin traditionally, at night I'll just wash my face and I wouldn't even put on any kind of night cream or anything like that, and my skin would be perfectly fine. But as soon as I noticed my skin starting to feel more dry, I made sure that every single night I'm using my super hydrating creams, I'm being diligent with my serums and my exfoliating. I used to exfoliate twice a week. I've increased that to 3 times a week. I never do my brows before my foundation, and I forgot, and now I've got a bunch of foundation in my brow. After foundation, you're gonna wanna go in with your favorite concealer and spot conceal anywhere you need to spot conceal and conceal underneath your eyes. I'm gonna go ahead with my Too Faced Born This Way Sculpting Concealer, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I just concealed underneath my eyes. And I'm gonna go ahead and set that concealer. So I'm gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finishing Powder. This normally comes in a compact, but I have them depotted. I have both shades in this container right here. I'm gonna take a little bit of shade number 1 on my brush. I'm gonna tap off any excess powder, and I'm just gonna go in and set that area where I put concealer. So I always set my concealer, and I always set concealer on my clients, because otherwise I find that it creases and cakes up underneath the eye and looks terrible. So I always set with powder in the under eye area. So when you've done all of this work to build up glow in your skin, you've prepped your skin with your skincare, you've gone in with your hydrating primer, your hydrating foundation, and then you go ahead and you take your powder and you cover your entire face in product. That powder just sucks all of that moisture that you've been working so hard to build into your skin back out. So all I'm doing is setting that under eye area to prevent my concealer from creasing. If I had used concealer to touch up any other areas around my face, I would really lightly set those areas as well, just with a tiny bit of powder. If you have dry skin, but you find by the end of the day you're super oily on your nose or on your forehead, then go ahead and set that area as well, but use the least amount of powder as possible. And the other thing that I want to say about powder is that you want to use a hydrating powder. So I know that that sounds a little bit contradictory, a hydrating powder. The great thing about the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finishing Powder is that it has almond oil and rose wax in it. So those ingredients help prevent the powder from drying out any areas on your face where you apply it. There are other brands that do hydrating powders as well. I know Hourglass does one and Becca does one. So you don't have to use this powder. I haven't tried those other powders, so I don't really want to recommend them to you, but I do know that other people really love them. If you don't like this powder or you don't have access to Charlotte Tilbury powders, you could try those out. But I've never felt the need to try them because I love this powder so much. It's just so fine, so smooth. It never makes my skin look cakey or dry. So when it comes to powder, use a tiny little bit and only use it where you need it. Okay, so my base is down. I'm gonna finish off the rest of my complexion, and in order to do that, I'm gonna start with liquid bronzer. So instead of using powders on top of my skin, which again are gonna pull that moisture out, so I'm gonna go ahead with my cream bronzer. This is the Hollywood Contour one by Charlotte Tilbury. Again, I like to blend in my cream face products with my damp beauty blender. So not only is a cream bronzer going to prevent you from having to apply more powders to your face, but it's also gonna add a little bit of an extra glow to the skin as well. After cream bronzer, I'm gonna go ahead and do a cream highlight. So the highlight that I'm gonna use today is the Charlotte's Tilbury Beauty Light Wand. Something that I love to do to really make my highlight blend into my skin is to take a little bit of setting powder and just spray it onto my skin before I go in with my cream highlight. After I spray my face with setting spray, I take my highlight and I add it to the areas where I want to highlight. And then again, I'll go in with my damp sponge and just blend that in. Spraying the face with setting powder first just helps add a little bit of moisture so that the highlighter blends out really easily and just kind of disappears into the skin and looks like a natural glow. For the final piece of my complexion, I'm gonna go ahead with a cream blush. This is by the brand Catherine Isabella, and this is called Lovey Dovey. So this is super pigmented. So I've tried before just dipping my beauty blender in here and then going straight into my skin, but I actually find it works a little bit better with a brush for this one. So I am gonna use a brush and just really lightly apply that to the skin. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly go and finish up my eye makeup and I will be right back for the final step. Okay, so the final step in my makeup routine is always to set with a setting spray. I'm gonna go ahead with the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, although this is not the most hydrating setting spray out there. Like I mentioned before, I don't always have super dry skin and I've been using this setting spray for many years. I really love it. But if you do have super dry skin and you're looking to invest in a new setting spray, there are different ones out there that are going to be better. So this setting spray is designed to make your makeup last for a really long time. So it doesn't do a great job of hydrating. However, brands like Lila B or Tatcha or many other brands out there actually make a setting spray that are designed to add moisture into the skin and make it look really glowy and fresh. I know Glam Glow does one. So there are hydrating setting sprays out there as well. All right guys, now that is how you do makeup for dry skin. I hope if you're new to dry skin or you've been suffering with it for a long time that this video was helpful for you. I would say the most important things to remember from the video are number one, taking care of your skin religiously before and after you apply your makeup and you take it off. Number two, to either use a hydrating foundation or to make the foundation you currently have more hydrating. Number three, to use cream products to complete the rest of your base. And number four, to be really stingy when it comes to your powder. You can see my skin is really glowy. It looks really nice and hydrated. I'm telling you right now that before I started that whole routine, my skin was feeling so dry and tight. Now it feels really nice and luscious and like I'm ready to hit the day. Thank you so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. Bye.